Number 8. Prison for Demons. Could an ancient relic known as a Faustian Cross be evidence of a pact made between a troubled person and the devil? During the Roman Inquisition, a Protestant family was in turmoil. They believed their son was possessed, and as a result, he suffered terrifying hallucinations because of the ordeal. The desperate family contacted 3 priests who visited them over 4 months, holding religious sessions in an effort to protect the young man from the demon possessing him. But their efforts didn't work, and the young man continued to deteriorate, even after going through multiple exorcisms every week. As the priests became more desperate, they reached out to the Vatican, asking them to make a special receptacle to capture the demon known as a Faustian Cross. In Christianity, this type of cross is blessed with holy water and inscribed with religious writings that are supposed to weaken the demon so it can be exorcised and trapped inside a central compartment. Armed with a cross, the priest returned to the family, and using the mirrors, they conducted another exorcism. This time, they were successful, and when the demon manifested, they captured it inside the cross and locked it inside. Sadly though, there was no happy ending. The young man's mother passed away a few days after the exorcism was complete. Only then did the priest find out that she was a practicing witch who made a pact with the demon, offering her child's soul as a sacrifice. After the shocking revelation, the priest took the imprisoned demon, leaving the family to try and pick up the pieces. It is now imprisoned in the Italian town of Balestrino, where it was given to a man named Lorenzo by his grandfather. Despite its bizarre discovery, the man accepted the strange gift, believing it will protect him. One can only hope that the cross is powerful enough to keep the evil demon from harming anyone else. What do you think of this story? Did a woman actually make a pact with the devil that caused the demon to possess her son? Tell me your theories in the comments. Number 7. Yeti DNA Shocker. For decades, rumors and reported sightings of a strange, non-human creature have come from the United States and Western Canada. Some people in the Himalayas believe they too have a hairy ape-like creature, and now scientists think they have the DNA to prove it. The first reported sightings of the mythical creature in North America came in 1811 when a British explorer named David Thompson found a set of strange footprints in the Rocky Mountains. Hearing stories about an 18-foot tall creature who lived in the woods and was so tall it had to lean against a tree to take a nap led Thompson to believe the unusually large tracks he spotted during his trek belonged to that very creature. A similar being known as a Yeti, also called the Abominable Snowman, is said to live in the Himalayan mountains, the range that separates the plateau of Tibet and India, and a recent find could be proof the mythical creature is real. The discovery of 2 sets of mummified remains, one in the region of Ladakh 40 years ago and another near Bhutan just 10 years ago, provided a unique opportunity for researchers to perform DNA tests on hair samples of the creatures. After comparing them to an international collection of gene sequences of known species, scientists found they were a 100% match to a sample taken from an ancient polar bear jawbone found in Norway from between 40,000 to 120,000 years ago. Could the famed Yeti be an ancient bear? At the time this animal lived, the polar bear was separating from the brown bear into different species. Now, scientists think the mummified animal is a subspecies of the brown bear, which is descended from the ancient polar bear. Scientists were shocked and understandably excited at the discovery. The fact that a descendant of the ancient animal was walking around as recently as 10 years ago shows how species they thought had gone extinct still live today. But how does that connect to the legend of the Yeti? Experts think the mummified animals were hybrid animals with behavior patterns that are different from normal bears, and could be why, when people spot these elusive animals acting in ways they don't understand, they chalk their encounter up to the Yeti legend. Using science to explain the Bigfoot legend might ruin a bit of the illusion of a mythical creature. Then again, most sightings of the creature have been debunked with hair samples determined to be from elk, bears, or cows, and most videos are either inconclusive or hoaxes. But if you want to try and spot a Yeti on your own, you don't necessarily have to head to the Himalayas either. A new map charts where all the alleged Bigfoot sightings have occurred in North America, with over 3,000 sightings mostly concentrated on the east and west coasts between 1921 and 2012. there are plenty of places to travel to in search of the mysterious creature. Do you believe Bigfoot exists? Share your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. Number 6. Noble Burial Site in Turkey. A necropolis found in eastern Turkey is offering insight into the mysterious lives of royals who once ruled during the 9th century BC before they mysteriously disappeared 3 centuries later. After unearthing the hidden burial ground, archaeologists team up with anthropologists and art historians to remove and restore the area, hoping to gain more insight into the ancient civilization. As the team excavated the 538 square foot area, they found the final resting place of Urartian Aristocrats, people from the mountainous region between the Black and Caspian Seas in modern-day Armenia, Turkey, and Iran. 2 skeletons, one male and one female, were uncovered, as well as priceless jewelry and a belt emblazoned with mythological creatures. The discovery was near the Çavuştepe Castle that was built in 750 BC by King Sardar II on a mountain in Turkey's Van province by the Urartu people, Middle Eastern political powers during the 9th and 8th centuries BCE until they were succeeded by the Armenians. Before the Urartians disappeared into thin air, they undertook many impressive architectural projects, including an irrigation canal that brought much needed water to the area, an ornate temple decorated with etchings of lions. As archaeologists worked to unearth the skeleton, they were stunned to realize the 20 to 25-year-old woman was buried wearing priceless pieces of jewelry, including bracelets on both wrists and pendulum earrings. Researchers think a bronze ring on her left hand is the earliest archaeological evidence that ancient cultures had prenuptial agreements. The extravagant adornments, which also include a brooch and a necklace made with semi-precious stones, lead experts to believe the woman is most likely a noblewoman, as only the higher-class Urartians would have had enough money to afford such items. Seeing such wealth on the noblewoman makes us wonder why the Urartians disappeared after obviously having such power and wealth. Could it be their location in the mountainous province of Van? Or were they not just strong enough to overcome repeated attacks from other nations who wanted their land? Experts hope to answer that question as they continue exploring the area, and with multiple different burial styles found at the site, some covered neatly with stones and other urn vaults covered haphazardly, it'll take some time to piece together the real truth about this nation that vanished before their time. Number 5. Mummified dogs. Ancient Egyptians are known for placing importance on various animals, including the cat. The cat goddess Bastet is a well-known goddess of the house and home, with many temples and festivals in her honor. Now, experts have uncovered a burial that shows another animal that seems to have left a lasting impression on its owners. An expert on mummies recently conducted a study on 2 large ceramic pots unearthed in 2009, a large mud brick structure in Abydos. Inside, they found the mummified remains of 2 dogs who were curled up inside the 3,000-year-old pots. If you thought this was a unique discovery, you'd be right. Sure, there are countless mummified dogs in dog cemeteries scattered around Egypt, but this was the first time archaeologists have unearthed dogs mummified and placed in burial jars. As experts studied the dogs, they gave them nicknames, calling one Houdini, who was so large they couldn't figure out how the dog was even placed inside the jar. Both had their fur mostly intact, but Houdini's fur was longer and had a brown auburn color that was very different when compared to other dogs at the time. The fur had also been coated by oil or resin that experts think was done to help preserve the animal. He was about 5 years old when he died, and because of the way he was buried and the fact that he was found at Abydos, which was built in 2750 BC and dedicated to a second dynasty king, researchers think he held the position of a sacred animal. More examination will help experts to see how the dogs were sealed and buried in their jars in the same way mummies are preserved in the hopes their spirits would live for an eternity. Number 4. Ancient church mosaics. The remains of a church hidden in southeastern Turkey, discovered in late 2019, are being excavated, and already stunning hidden treasures have been uncovered. The ruined 5th century church has worn away by weather and time, but some of its gorgeous floor mosaic has survived for 1600 years. It was built in 366 AD in Goktas village in Mardin, the capital city in the Turkish province that sits on a rocky hill near the Tigris River. Previously known for the architecture structure of its old city, Mardin has a new reputation. Now, researchers are getting their first glimpse at the decorative depictions of animals, geometric ornaments, and human figures shown in hunting scenes. Some of the figures also have the months April and June written on them. Clues to who created the breathtaking mosaic are literally written in stone, with 9 lines of text hidden in the design. Written in Estrangelo, which is the language of ancient Syria, a list of names pays tribute to the men who constructed the church building. More evidence of the church's history were also uncovered when archaeologists found a set of forms that detailed public performances of religious worship, offering insight into what went on during 5th century religious rites of local Christians. The church was built on top of the mosaic base in the basilica plan, which was a style used in Roman Catholic and Greek Orthodox churches, where a large open hall had side aisles and a raised platform at either end. For those who want to see the historic site and breathtaking work that went into its mosaic tiles, archaeologists are restoring the site so they can showcase the ancient church and its treasures. Number 3. Vampire graves in Bulgaria. Archaeologists working in Bulgaria have unearthed a bizarre ancient Middle Ages ritual tied to the undead. A skeleton located at Perperikon, a site where various religious rites took place about 7,000 years ago, was uncovered with an iron stake plunged through its chest. Coins that archaeologists found with the body dated to around the 13th and 14th centuries. If you thought this was a unique find, you'd be partly right. It's definitely strange, but it's not the first body found this way. Throughout Bulgaria, over 100 people have been found buried similarly, and they are all men. Evidence of the pagan rite has also been found in nearby Serbia and other Balkan countries. So why did ancient Europeans conduct these ritualistic burials? Reports of vampires go back thousands of years and continued as recently as just a few decades ago, with some villages designating one member of the village as a vampire hunter. Those who were afraid their fellow villagers would roam the streets and take more lives used a number of different methods to stop vampires from rising from the grave. Sometimes they would drive iron stakes through their shoulders, virtually pinning the dead to the ground. Other times, terrified villagers would cut off the legs of those they feared so they couldn't get up and walk around. Shackles, massive boulders, and 8-inch spikes driven through various body parts were used to stop people from leaving their graves after they died. Some bodies have even been found with stones shoved into their mouths to keep them from rising and spreading diseases like the plague into the living. Much of the fear came from the rise of Christianity, as the church depicted vampires as unholy creatures. That, combined with the fear of the unknown, caused some to unfairly target their neighbors, who, even in death, were scapegoats. Evidence of how misunderstood people were treated has now been brought out into the light. And as more are unearthed, it shows how superstition gave rise to these bizarre rituals. Number 2. Egypt's Lost Golden City. For centuries, the Egyptian city of Aten was lost to the sands of time, but when archaeologists finally located the ancient city, they unearthed a number of strange items, some more macabre than others. At the city, the largest ancient dwelling ever found in Egypt, a bizarre skeleton was found with its arms outstretched and a rope tied around its knees. Experts still can't determine how the individual died, but it probably wasn't from hunger. Located at the site, another discovery was of a vessel filled with ancient dried meat. The jar does give a bit of a hint about who the meat was for. An inscription mentions the Heb Sed Festival, one of the oldest feasts in ancient Egypt that was celebrated after a king ruled for 30 years. The inscription also mentioned year 37, which would have been when King Amenhotep III ruled alongside his son Akhenaten, who later became the king of Egypt's 18th dynasty and established a cult to the sun god Aten. Luckily, the sands of Egypt helped to preserve these items, and as archaeologists continued to excavate, they realized there was an entire network of neighborhoods waiting to see the light of day again. 7 different neighborhoods were located, including residential areas, industrial hubs, and administrative centers that were the backbone of the ancient city. Evidence of metalwork and glassmaking show that Aten was a prosperous city that dated back to the reign of Amenhotep III, one of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs, who ruled from 1391 to 1353 BC. Even though it was close to Luxor, the capital of the ancient kingdom, rulers Akhenaten and Nefertiti abandoned Aten and moved their empire to Amarna. Only time will tell whether researchers will find clues that will reveal why. Number 1. Knife-wielding spider god. A group of Peruvian farmers who were working to extend their fields uncovered a shocking artwork on the walls of an ancient temple. Once used by the pre-Columbian Çavuştepe people for water ceremonies, the temple was built close to a local river, which explains why it was dedicated to water gods. But its mural, depicting a towering spider god holding a knife, is like something experts have never seen. Sadly, the farmers who didn't realize it was there before crashing into it with their machines accidentally destroyed almost half of the temple. Luckily, experts were still able to study what was left, and when they found the spider figure, painted in ochres, yellows, grays, and white, they realized it could have ties to an ancient rite. Experts say the spider was an important animal in pre-Hispanic cultures associated with water. The painting is likely tied to a sacred ancient water ceremony that the Çavuştepe culture held between January and March to invoke rain. But the temple isn't the only place the Çavuştepe people paid homage to their spider god. Other artifacts recovered in other areas feature images of spiders, who are also associated with fertility, sacrifice, and regeneration. It'll take more time to research the mural, but once researchers are able to find out more about it and the people who created it, it will offer even more insight into the ancient art of Peru's first people. These are all incredible and strange historical discoveries. Which one did you find most intriguing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support and see you next time.